Think honey, maple syrup, or agave are safe because they're natural? What if I told you they could be inflaming your knees and stubbornly stiffening your fingers? Did you know some plant-based sweeteners trigger the same inflammatory pathways as processed sugar, only sneakier and harder to spot on labels? Here's the shocker. The very healthy drizzles and drops you trust to replace sugar may be the hidden culprits behind your joint aches and creaks. Today, we're uncovering the 7 most deceptive natural sweeteners and showing you the joint-friendly alternatives that actually soothe pain rather than fueling it. By the end of this video, you'll know which sweeteners to toss and which real food swaps will keep your joints flexible, mobile, and pain-free. Let's get started before your next spoonful makes your joints pay the price. Why natural doesn't always mean joint-friendly. After 60. We've all been taught that swapping refined sugar for honey or maple syrup is a healthier choice, especially in our golden years. After 60, controlling inflammation is critical for protecting cartilage, maintaining synovial fluid health, and preserving muscle support around your joints. That's why many seniors turn to natural sweeteners. Perceived benefits. They're plant-based, minimally processed, and packed with trace minerals and antioxidants. Joint stakes. As we age, our bodies become more susceptible to chronic inflammation, one of the key drivers of osteoarthritis and joint pain. But here's the catch. Some natural sweeteners contain compounds that actually trigger the same, or even stronger inflammatory cascades as refined sugar. Tiny molecules called advanced glycation end products, AGEs, form when these sweeteners react with proteins in your body, stiffening cartilage and impairing joint lubrication. Other components can disturb gut microbiota, leading to systemic inflammation that homes in on vulnerable joints. In this section, you'll learn how AGEs accelerate joint degeneration by cross-linking collagen fibers and cartilage, why certain syrup-derived phenolics spike cytokine production and worsen inflammation. The gut-joint axis, how sweetener-induced shifts in gut flora can flare up arthritis symptoms. With this context, you'll see why going natural isn't always the safe route, and you'll be ready for our deep dive into the 7 sweeteners sabotaging your joint health. The hidden inflammation. Triggers in natural sweeteners. You might think a drizzle of honey or a splash of agave is harmless, but these sweeteners can be just as dangerous for your joints as white sugar. Here's how they sneakily fan the flames of inflammation. High fructose. Load. Many natural sweeteners, agave, maple syrup, are extremely high in fructose. Unlike glucose, fructose is primarily processed in the liver, where it can be converted into advanced glycation end products, AGEs, that stiffen cartilage and impair joint lubrication. Concentrated phenolic compounds. While raw honey and maple syrup contain antioxidants, they also carry phenolics that, in high doses, can trigger cytokine release, the very molecules that ramp up joint swelling and pain. Rapid glycation. Engine reactions. Blackstrap molasses and date syrup, prized for minerals, still react quickly with body proteins to form AGEs. These AGEs cross-link collagen in cartilage, reducing its flexibility and accelerating wear. Gut microbiome. Disruption. Some sugar alcohols touted as natural, like xylitol or erythritol, can alter gut flora balance. An unhealthy microbiome fuels systemic inflammation that homes in on vulnerable joints, worsening stiffness. Hidden additives and adulterants, products labeled pure, may be blended with cheaper syrups or heated excessively, destroying beneficial enzymes and creating toxic byproducts that further inflame tissues. These healthy drizzles are quietly feeding the fire in your joints. Time to toss them and try smarter swaps. 1. Agave nectar. Why it hurts. Agave syrup can be up to 90% fructose, far more than high fructose corn syrup. That flood of fructose heads straight to your liver, supercharging advanced glycation end products. Ages that stiffen cartilage and weaken joint mobility. Real-life impact. A 68-year-old retiree began using agave in her morning tea and noticed her knee locking episodes jump from once a week to 3 times a week within 2 weeks. She dumped the agave and regained smooth, pain-free movement. Smart swap. Replace with a pinch of pure stevia extract or a dash of cinnamon-infused apple slices. 0 fructose, no ages, and still sweet. 2. Maple syrup. Why it hurts. Although prized for minerals, maple syrup is about 60% sucrose and 35% fructose. Its combination of sugars and phenolic compounds accelerates cytokine release, driving red-hot inflammation in joints. Real-life impact. A 72-year-old teacher drizzled maple syrup on oatmeal daily and developed worsening finger stiffness. After swapping to cinnamon spice pears, her joint creaks ease significantly. Smart swap. Use a sprinkle of cinnamon on fresh pears or peaches. Naturally sweet, anti-inflammatory, and kind to your cartilage. 3. Raw. Honey. Why it hurts. Raw honey sounds wholesome, but it's roughly 40% fructose and 40% glucose. Plus, when overheated, it can form hydroxymethylfurfuryl, HMF, another age precursor. Result: tight, grinding joints. Real-life impact. A 75-year-old former nurse added a spoonful of honey to her nightly chamomile and soon woke up with hip pain she hadn't felt in years. Switching to unsweetened applesauce topped with a few berries calmed her ache. Smart swap. Stir in unsweetened applesauce or muddled berries into recipes. Fiber-rich and gentle on your joints. 4th. Date syrup. Why it hurts. Date syrup packs a high glycemic load and contains concentrated phenolics that, in excessive amounts, spike inflammatory markers in joint tissue. Real-life impact. In a small 4-week trial, seniors consuming daily date syrup-sweetened dishes reported 20% more knee swelling compared to those using whole dates in moderation. Smart swap. Blend a handful of frozen mixed berries into smoothies or sauces for sweetness, plus antioxidants. No syrup required. 5. Blackstrap molasses. Why it hurts. Blackstrap is celebrated for iron and calcium, but its high sugar and HMF content promote age formation, while the concentrated phenolics can aggravate joint linings. Real-life impact. A 70-year-old man stirring molasses into his coffee noticed calf cramps doubled each morning for 2 weeks. Eliminating the molasses ended the spasms. Smart swap. For a savory kick, use a splash of lemon juice and herb infusion or sip. Bone broth, joint soothing and sugar-free. 6. Coconut sugar. Why it hurts. Marketed as low GI, coconut sugar is still roughly 70% sucrose and 10 to 15% fructose, enough to fuel age cross-linking and inflammatory pathways. Real-life impact. One senior with early arthritis switched her baking from cane sugar to coconut sugar and saw her morning stiffness persist unchanged, until she removed it altogether. Smart swap. Bake with pure stevia or monk fruit sweetener, and add spices like nutmeg or cardamom for complexity. 7. Sugar alcohols, xylitol and erythritol. Why it hurts. Touted as safe, sugar alcohols can disrupt gut bacteria balance and produce mild systemic inflammation, which often targets already vulnerable joints. Plus, they can cause bloating and discomfort that masks underlying stiffness. Real-life impact. A 73-year-old gum chewer experienced swelling in his knees each time he used xylitol-sweetened gum. When he switched to pure stevia leaf, the swelling subsided. Smart swap. Use pure stevia leaf or monk fruit powder to sweeten tea in recipes. No gut disruption, no inflammation,